Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. Lok Sabha proceedings were adjourned for the day today after the passage of the VBG Ramji bill, that is the bill which was replaced. The Manrega was replaced with this VBG Ramji bill, and this was amidst opposition uproar over its provisions. But a discussion on air pollution in the Delhi National Capital Region was to be taken up later during the day, where Congress MP Priyanka Gandhi was expected to initiate the discussion. But amidst the adjournment, the air pollution issue today could not be discussed. The House was adjourned for the day. And this as the AQI hit severe levels. Delhi administration has implemented a no PUCC, no fuel rule and banned the non BS6 vehicles. So the question is that how serious is the political class on the issue of pollution? One can easily say that today, putting the VBG Ramji bill to vote for the political class was more important rather than discussing an issue like air pollution. Now, Parliament is going to adjourn. Tomorrow is the last day. We do not know, looking at the adjournments the way they have happened, I'm not sure whether the House will convene, whether they will have a discussion on the air pollution. So, what does it go to show as to how, whether it is the opposition, whether it is the ruling side, does the political class seriously deal with an issue like air pollution, given the fact that we should not forget that there were a series of protests which happened at the India Gate. Then there were warrior moms who went and met Rahul Gandhi. He did put out the tweet, he did put out the video. He also spoke, he intervened in parliament during one of the discussions that air pollution is a serious issue. We need to speak up about that. Even Priyanka Gandhi said that let's put aside all the differences, let's discuss the issue of pollution. But even then, at the end of the day, not much hope is left. But there has been no discussion on air pollution. So we'll try and discuss this, that how serious is the political class about an issue like air pollution? How severe is it? If the political class has not been able to discuss this, but we can always discuss as to what kind of a threat is it on the lives of the people. Joining me this evening is Jivesh Gupta, who's a climate activist. He's worked with a number of organizations. Thank you so much, Jivesh, for joining. We have Sarvesh Tripathi, who's the Samajwadi Party spokesperson. Thank you so much, Sarvesh, for joining. We have TK Rajlakshmi, who's a senior editor with the Frontline magazine. Thank you so much, Rajlakshmi. And I'll begin with Jivesh Gupta. Jivesh, given the fact that the AQI levels are really serious and at an alarming level, there was some hope that at least we could get some answers through a discussion in parliament, but that has not taken place. So, what do you think? How has the issue been dealt with? There was some hope when the protests happened. The warrior moms went and met Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi expressed some seriousness in parliament that there should be a discussion. But finally, whom would you hold responsible today for not holding the discussion?
I think the current government is responsible because the opposition, as far as I understand, and it's public knowledge that opposition initiated it and said that there should be a discussion. And now that they're not letting it happen or whatever is happening in the parliament has to be questioned because this problem needs a long-term solution. Short-term solution every year have been many, whether it's odd and even, whether it is saying that we ban this vehicle, we ban that vehicle, we ban entry of this vehicle, that vehicle, we stop movement of uh, trucks carrying malba from construction sites. All that will not help. All those are very small and short-term solutions. The solutions have to be implemented year-round. Like, for example, plantation of trees is one thing which can happen, which hasn't happened for years together, for decades. We've only been cutting trees. In Delhi, I think I said in the last show also, this whole 7 GPRA colonies lost around 1 lakh trees. So we can imagine this, in the heart of Delhi, they cut 1 lakh trees. And now they're trying to tell us that we'll do the short-term measures and we'll reduce pollution. Nothing gets reduced. Only when the wind
No, but
blows, when
what
the
about
pollution goes down.
Jivesh? What
That is a
about what about no no? But what about these policies like no PUCC, no fuel? Then they've banned the BS6 vehicles. So Grab 3, Grab 4 measures have been implemented. What will you
all the
say to these things?
all the absolutely they have no relevance. They have no impact because these measures in 60 to 70% of the places or 80% of the places don't get implemented. People still keep moving the way they move, and the implementation is very poor. Look at China. Look at what they've done with Beijing. Because see, you have to understand the dust issue first, the movement of dust, where it comes from, what was stopping it. Look at what they're doing with the Aravlis. Instead of, if they had a serious agenda on hand, they would have discussed Aravlis first. And what do they want to do with the Aravlis? Because the wholesome solution lies in the Aravlis. So dust is one of the biggest pollutant. Construction sites is obviously a pollutant. The dust on the roadside is a pollutant. What China did, they put uh, coconut mats, coconut husk mats, जो कोकोनट का फाइबर होता है उसके मैट्स बनाकर उन लोगों ने रोड साइड पे डाले. So that is biodegradable. They stop the dust from blowing, and they did it across the city. That was one huge measure they took. India has no dearth of coir, but India doesn't have they don't have the willpower. They don't want to do it. Otherwise, in Delhi, you still go on the road. There's so much of dry dust all over. I stay in South Delhi. I know what's happening in North Delhi. I know what's happening East, what's happening in West, what's happening in NCR. There's absolutely no seriousness with respect to pollution. They're not taking any measure. They can learn from other cities, if not invent something themselves, which they're anyway not capable of.
But Jivesh, we also saw MPs, coming to Parliament wearing a mask. They they raised slogans. They urged the government to do it. But finally, it seems. Uh, I think Jivesh is unmute yourself because there's a lot of sound. Okay, I'll come to Sarvesh now. Sarvesh, the same thing which I was wanting to ask Jivesh, that uh, there's a feeling that the political class has not done enough with this issue. Of course, opposition did urge the government to have a discussion. They raised the issue, but is that enough? And now look at the way the house got adjourned just because the VBG Ramji bill was supposed to be put to vote, and the slogan shouting was also on what by the opposition today. It was on the VBG Ramji bill that it should go to a standing committee. Did the opposition at all today say that we need to forget the VBG Ramji bill? We need a discussion on the air pollution. Given the fact that there's little time, tomorrow is the last day of Parliament. Did opposition really stop short of those kind of efforts?
No, ma'am, opposition has made it very clear on the very first day, and we have been talking about this that we want a constructive. The leader of opposition, Shri Rahul Gandhi, made it very clear, and Rashtriya Adhyaksh Shri Akhilesh Yadav made it very clear that we are ready for a constructive discussion on this, because this is the most serious issue we are facing now. Millions of children are facing lungs disease. This is almost all the major cities facing the a blanket of poisonous gases, as Rahul Gandhi said. So we are here to discuss the AQI level, the pollution, and we need a long-term solution for this. As Mr. Gupta was talking about, we need a long-term solution for this. We need a constructive talk about it, and we are very positive about it. We need a constructive talk, but government is clearly not hearing to it, not heeding to this, and they don't want a discussion on this. As if we talk about Delhi BJP had this in their election manifesto, the pollution thing. They talked about a pollution-free Delhi. Now CM Rekha Gupta says that she needs at least 27 months to tackle this. She is clueless about it. This will not vanish. This pollution will not vanish with the short-term measures like you shut down the tandoors or do whatever you want. But this needs a long-term. It will. We are ready for a solution that takes 5 years, 10 years down the line, but we need to discuss it now. We need a strategical, constructive deadline. Then what that government should be clear what it is going to do. Now, what government is doing, government is infusing poison again in the minds of the people with a communal thing, VBG Ramji. We are not against Ramji. We are not against Ramji lives in our hearts. Ramji is in our soul. But we need to discuss this pollution thing first. This bill is useless if we don't have lives in our hands. So government is clearly against the lives in general. Government is against constitution, and government is against the children, the youth, the farmers. This bill again, if you come to this bill, this bill is against constitution. It is violating article 243. It is violating the third tier of the constitution, the panchayati raj. It is against the federalism. It gives the responsibility, 40% responsibility to the state governments, which is against the federalism. The poor governments cannot tackle the 40% part of it. How will the state governments would tackle it? So clearly this government is against it. This bill is not talking about the enhancement of wages the farmers, the workers would get. It is just a diversion against this, the whole scheme of
But
SIR
do
or the
you
pollution.
feel, Sarvesh, and I'll ask this question to Rajlakshmi also, that do you feel that, just as a formality, the government said and got ready that, okay, we'll have a discussion on the air pollution, but they also knew that if you are putting the bill to vote, uh, of course, there's going to be hangama. But the other thing is that they could have listed all these bills, whether it is the nuclear energy bill or whether it was the VBG Ramji bill. They could have easily put those bills in the initial days of the parliament session so that the opposition got enough time to read, and they could have had a comfortable duration of a air pollution discussion also. So is this a deliberate strategy by the government not to have a serious discussion on an issue like air pollution?
Obviously we should have started with this pollution thing on the very first day. We should have started with this thing. This is the most important issue that our country is facing. Again, this nuclear energy bill, this is few days back Mr. Arani said that he is interested in nuclear thing, so this bill is here. Government was very clear that it is not going to discuss these important things. Pollution was the first thing we should have discussed. We should have started with the pollution thing, and they were very clear that they are not going to discuss it. That is why it was a plot. We it, it, it was made before the commencement of this parliament session. So we know it now, the country knows it now, and we are very, it is very shameful on the part of a government that it is not talking about, discussing about the lives of the people. It is about lives of the people in general, and we are not talking about it. It is very shameful on everyone's part. As a democracy, we must be shameful on this.
So I'll come to Rajlakshmi now. That Rajlakshmi, if the government was really serious on this particular issue, because I remember when the day the all party meeting happened, at that time only opposition was very clear that they wanted a discussion on air pollution, they wanted a discussion on SIR, they wanted a discussion on the foreign policy, on the tariffs. There were a lot of issues. But none of it has happened except that we see two big bills which have been ramrodded through the throats of the people. That is the VBG Ramji bill. Then the second one, of course, is the nuclear bill now, which is under consideration and, of course, in discussion in Rajya Sabha as well. Tomorrow is the last day. How serious do you think the government really is to have a discussion on air pollution? And if you remember, just 3 or 4 days ago, Environment Minister of Delhi, Manjeet Singh Sirsa, he apologized that for any government to tackle an issue like air pollution is not possible within 8 or 9 months. And he says that we got pollution as a legacy from the Aam Aadmi Party government.
Yeah, that's something that the CM has also said, that that this has been passed down, several years by several successive governments, and that the Delhi government alone should not I mean, she didn't say it in so many words, but she implied that the Delhi government alone should not be blamed for this situation. The problem is that that anything, any issue that concerns, of course, the public, and here it is air pollution, it is severe air pollution, rather is always perceived by the ruling government, which happens to be the the BJP in this case, as if it is, a critique, or in fact, criticism of their style of functioning. They sort of take it as a very I mean, as though it's a personal attack on them, as though it's a political attack on them, to say that they have, that they have, mismanaged on this front. I don't see why, as to why a discussion could not take place. It's not that the MPs, from the ruling party and the government, and the ruling government have a different set of lungs altogether, or that they are immune, or that they inure to the effects of air pollution. So it's not the case. They also breathe the same polluted air. They also go through the same discomfort, or in fact, maybe some of them may have some, I think, asthmatic or maybe breathing issues also. I do not know, but this is what it absolutely it fails my understanding as to why would they not have a discussion on this issue, because I'm sure they have children in their homes. I'm sure they have the they have aged people, the elderly, etc., who are adversely who get adversely affected by the pollutants in the air. Now I would in fact agree with what the other two speakers said, that everything that is being attempted now are all short-term measures. There is an ad hoc reaction, there is a knee-jerk reaction, because everybody knows, during winter months, it's just because the cold air is such, because the way it's composed, it's not going to drive away or in fact remove the pollutants in the air as easy as it happens in the summer months. So that is why in the winter months it's always bad. The air quality is always bad, and it's bound to be bad. So there are some steps that need to be initiated beforehand. So now asking for PUCC certificates is again a tool of course, every vehicle should have them, but then to use them to in fact to harass vehicle owners. I mean, that also becomes a tool, by the traffic police to harass people. Then the other issue is construction. That is in fact the only area where some work is happening in the country. This whole thing about make in India. That's the only area where where some manufacturing is happening. Now, for instance, if you stop all kinds of construction activity, so what happens to those people who are employed in such activities? I mean, are you going to compensate them? Yes. I mean, the state should compensate them for the work that they're going to lose on, and the wages that they're going to lose on. But I don't see that happening. So these kind of knee jerk steps, this blanket ban on construction activities, or this or all kinds of this all these measures, they just smack of a lack of a proper approach on how to
Yeah.
really tackle this thing. They actually do not have an idea. And I think that is the reason why they were averse to having a discussion also, because
Right.
otherwise, why would they be upfront about a discussion? As I said, they also have
No, but
a
did you
similar
get a
set of
feeling,
lungs.
Rajlakshmi, that the day Manjinder Singh Sirsa, the Delhi's environment minister, apologized and he showed his helplessness that no government can tackle air pollution. We've got pollution as a legacy, and it's almost like a failure of the Aam Aadmi Party government. The day he apologized, was that day not indicative of the fact that the government is not interested in a discussion on air pollution?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, he should have been held up to what he said, because it's the same party which made promises in its manifesto that it's going to tackle Delhi's air pollution, when in fact the Yamuna's pollution was made such a big hue and cry, during the elections. I think one of them went and stood, in the midst of the Yamuna and drank water from it or bathed in it to show how pollution it was. So I'm saying that when it comes to votes, then pollution is a huge issue, and then they can in fact attack the incumbent government for that. But when it comes to them, it's not an important issue. I mean, the sense, when they are the ruling party
Right.
in government, whether it's a state or whether it's a center. So I
Right.
so I just fail to understand, this entire, but it's a fear of being, criticized. It's a fear
Right.
of that there be some adverse,
Yeah.
publicity that they'll get in the process
Right.
from the
Right.
opposition, that they don't want to
Yeah.
have a discussion.
It's very clear that the government apparently wasn't interested. But Sarvesh, coming to you, that the parliament session gets over, but the problem of air pollution doesn't get over. How is the opposition really going to take up this issue beyond the parliament session? That is also something. How can you continue to force the government to take some proactive measures, not just these cursory and cosmetic measures which they have undertaken, and which is also causing a lot of inconvenience. But how will the opposition take action? Then I'll come for the final comments to Jivesh Gupta, if he can switch on the camera. Sarvesh, how does the opposition plan to keep this issue alive? Because keeping this
See,
issue alive itself is a challenge, because there are so many other issues for the opposition. I mean, and on every issue you have to speak. An air pollution issue, if it doesn't get votes, then obviously the opposition will also not be interested. So how do you ensure, as a responsible opposition, that you keep this issue alive?
see, to garner votes, we need living people. So to save the lives, we need to clear the pollution first. So it is our primary agenda to get the this thing done first. So we have said it very clearly that we are ready to cooperate in any which way possible, and we are ready for a constructive discussion. We'll do whatever we can in our all the capacities we can. We'll talk about it. We'll, if needed, we'll protest for this, but we will not let it go like any other agenda. So we are ready to cooperate with the government in any way possible, and we will try talking to the government. And see, these things would be done on the government part only. We can only ask for it. We are the voice of the people, and we will do whatever we can for the people, and we will not let this thing go from the minds of the government. Government is very clear that they don't want to talk about it. They push another bills and another thing to talk. If you are not talking about it, they'll say that you're against the Ramji, or you're against this thing, you're against development. Any other thing is secondary. First thing is saving the lives of the children, the elderly people, the lives of the people, because it is not the problem of Delhi only. It is the problem of all the major cities in the country. It is the biggest problem we are facing in the country right now. So it is an emergency, and government should be very clear about this, and should come up with a plan, with a long-term plan, that what are they going to do. We are ready to cooperate in it.
All right, I was hoping to be joined by Jivesh Gupta, but I think his network is giving an issue. So we'll have to end it here, except that it's highly unfortunate. Now let's wait and watch. We can only hope that if the government is really serious, can it have a discussion, at least a day's discussion? Tomorrow is the last day of the parliament session. Can we have a discussion on air pollution? That's the biggest question which is lurking in everybody's mind. So we'll have to wait and watch how the day unfolds. Does the parliament begin and just adjourn because of any other trivial issue? Thank you so much, Sarvesh Tripathi. Raj Lakshmi, thank you so much for joining.